A new Torah portion, Vayera, which is a continuation from last week, where Moshe Rabbeinu, sorry, gentlemen, where Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses is confronting God because he sent him as a redeemer, and now things got worse because he approached Pharaoh, him and Aaron. They approached Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said, "Oh, if that's the case, you got, oh, you guys are a bunch of lazy guys, so I'm going to make life more difficult for you."
Sure.
Took away providing, the raw materials for building, and they had to find their own raw materials
Same quota.
and have the same quota exactly. So, Shimon Leib, if you're closer, you'll hear better. I don't think you heard me. I don't think you heard me.
Sit over there.
Robert's saying get closer.
So we continue with this discussion.
Sitting here, so I can make a getaway.
Won't help.
Sit there, it's harder.
Won't help Shimon Leib.
Can't stop you if you want.
Okay. Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, v'yomer Elav, and he said to him, Ani Hashem, I am God. Okay. Let's see.
And
Rashi in verse number 2. Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe, and God spoke to Moshe. Divrei Mishpat, he spoke to him with words of rebuke, because it's the word Elokim. Elokim means judgment. Rebuke here.
where are you?
Beginning.
2 or 1?
What does
Verse
Elohim
number
mean?
2.
First Rashi?
First Rashi, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Awesome.
What does Elohim mean?
Means God, but it's a name of God that is of judgment,
Judgment.
rebuke in this context. Al shehik shaladaber le'imar, he's speaking harshly and saying, Lo marei salam hazeh, because Moshe said at the end of last week's Torah portion, why have you done harm to these people? Right? That now I came to redeem them, spoke to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh made things more difficult for the Jewish people. So God says, I am Hashem. In other words, God's name, right? Which means, I am faithful to pay a good reward for those who walk before me. And I didn't send you in vain. Rather, that you will fulfill my words. Which what are the words that I spoke to the forefathers? And we find the divine name interpreted in this sense in many places. Ani Hashem, that I am Hashem, means means that I will exact payment. In others, when it's stated in context of punishment, is Hashem Elokecha, that Ani Hashem, for example, that you have profaned my name, the name of God, I am Hashem. Okay, right. Then in other words, I am Hashem, that will exact payment for that, the fact that you profane my name, right? Okay, on the other hand, when it is stated that I am God in the context of fulfillment of a commandment, for example, that you will keep my covenant and I am perform them, I am Hashem, that there it means that it will give a reward as opposed to a punishment, right? In other words, Ani Hashem, 1 second, Ani Hashem means in this context that I will exact in this, here it means a reward, but it can also mean a punishment.
So every time they mentioned here, it's always.
What do you mean here? Here it's just
In this Rashi, I don't know if I can say the name, which he just repeated earlier.
Ani Hashem, yeah.
Elohim.
No.
It's not repeated everywhere. That's not what he's alluding to in these cases, severity and so on and so forth.
No, it says the words Ani Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Tetragrammaton, right?
Thank you.
So Rashi is explaining that the fact that the name of the Tetragrammaton is used over here, right, is he is saying that I am faithful to pay the reward to those who walk in my way, right? In other words, I didn't send you in vain. Right? I promised to your forebearers. I promised, and I'm going to fulfill the promise. right? I'm going to fulfill that promise. So that's what it means. Okay.
Why do you think Rashi waited, not Rashi, God waited, 200 years to, give
So
them-
let's learn. We're learning Chumash Rashi. Anything that is outside of Chumash Rashi, we will not address at this moment. We can maybe, if we have time afterwards, we can address it. But we have a duty to fulfill. So we're not going to veer off. It's a good question, excellent question, and there's an answer to it. But we're going to stay focused, okay, on what our goal, what our purpose is, and our purpose is to learn Chumash Rashi.
After this, you do Tanya, and after that, you do Rambam. By the
Okay,
time, you
Shimalei,
get to a question.
verse number 3. Va'era. Okay, now, okay, that's it. No more. Let's focus because there's a lot to learn here, and we need to stay true to the goal of for everybody here. It's not just to Okay, Vayera, which is the name of the parsha. And I appeared, El Avram, to Abraham. God is speaking. I appeared to Abraham, El Yitzchak, to Yitzchak, El Yaakov, and to Jacob, the Kel Shakai, in Kel Shakai. Ushmi Hashem, and my name God, Hashem, the Tetragrammaton, Lo Nadaiti Lem. I did not manifest that name to them.
I thought
Right.
Mezuzah, right?
Yes. And I appeared to the patriarchs in Kel Shakai. The name of God implies Havtachis. I made a promise to them, and all of them I said, Ani Kel Shakai, I am Kel Shakai. Right, so it's a reference to God's name, in that God made a promise to them. But my name, the Tetragrammaton, Hashem, I did not make known to them. Loi Haidaiti Khan. It doesn't say I did not inform them. It's not written over here. But I did not become known. I did not. I was not recognized by them by my aspect of truth. Sha'aleha nikras shmi Hashem, because of that which I am named Hashem, which implies la amitas devarai, that I'm faithful to uphold my word. Hivtachtim v'lo kayamtim, for I promised them, but I have not yet fulfilled my promise. In other words, God's truth is he says something and he fulfills it, but he didn't fulfill it in their time, right? He didn't fulfill it. He just promised. So that name of God, that means the truth of God, was not revealed or not recognized by them because God didn't fulfill it then. He's only fulfilling it now.
But does that mean that, because we see that the Avad, they do use this name. So does that mean that the name per se was revealed, but the attribute associated with the name was not revealed?
I mean, Shem Hashem is used, yes. So then it must mean that, in other words, the truth of this name, that was not something that they recognized because I didn't fulfill that truth. So yeah, that's what it means. So what does it mean? In what manner was it used? So the Tetragrammaton, Shem Hashem, has many different aspects to it, right? So in those aspects, in a different aspect, that's we'd have to go back and see what the context is and how it's used there. But that's a good question, a good point at least. Okay, verse number 4. Vigam, and also, in other words, even though I didn't reveal that truth, right? And I also made I have made a covenant. I established a covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, as Eretz Megureim, the land in which they actually lived in, Asher Goruba, that they sojourned in. Rashi in 4. Okay. So Gam Hikimoisis Brisi, I also established a covenant. The Gam Kishinirse Lahem, the Kel Shakai. Furthermore, when I appeared to them in Kel Shakai, Hitzavti be'emadati brisi beini uvenechem. I instituted and established my covenant between myself and them.
That's the same name as the Mezuzah.
Yes.
Thank you.
My covenant between myself and them. Let's say Simon says that Canaan, what was the covenant? That I'm giving them the land of Canaan. La Avram Parshas Mila Nemar. To Avram, it says by the circumcision that he, right? Ani Kel Shakai, I am Kel Shakai, Venasati, and I've given. L'chol Zarecha Acharecha, Eretz Canaan Migorecha. I'm giving you and to your offspring after you, the sojournings of the land where you are. Li Yitzchak, that was Avram. Then to Yitzchak, wow, how important this is right now. Is called for to you and your offspring. This is now to Isaac. I will give all of these lands, and I will fulfill the oath I swore to your father Avraham. Avram, and the oath referring to the statement that he swore to Avram, the Kel Shakai, Amarti, that I said in Kel Shakai. Right. That's to the second generation. Now the third generation, the Yaakov, to Jacob. Ani Kel Shakai, Parei or Revei. Yes, Aretz Asher, Megomer. I am Kel Shakai, God says, be fruitful and multiply in the land that I've given to Avram and to Yitzchak, I will give to you. Harishin Nedarti Lehem, I have sworn to them, like him at Kiyamti, and I have not fulfilled that promise, but I will fulfill that promise. Right. When's he fulfilling it? Right now. That's what he's saying. Vigam ani shamaiti. And also, he's saying now. So now there's the first point that he's making, right? What's the first point he's making? I have promised. I haven't yet fulfilled back then, right? But now I am coming to fulfill that which I have promised to the patriarchs. Vigam, and furthermore, ani shamaiti. This is all in response to what? What is it? What is Hashem doing over here? Okay, that's for sure. He's talking to me. Well, what's the point in this conversation?
I thought it was his name, something like that. But
To respond to his complaint to God. He's complaining to God. Look what happened. I came here. You told me I'm here to redeem the people, and I made things worse for the people because you told me to come. Things are worse for them. So he's responding, right?
Yeah.
Furthermore, he says, I have heard na'akas, the groaning of Bnei Israel, of the children of Israel, Hashem Mitrim Ma'avidim Moisam, that the Egyptians are enslaving them, the Eskars BC, and I have remembered my covenant. Right? He just spoke about the covenant. Now I've remembered. What does that mean? Let's see Rashi. Vigam ani, and I too. Just I institute and establish the covenant. I have to fulfill it. I made a covenant. I have to now come to fulfill it. Therefore, the verse goes on to say, I've heard the groaning of the Jewish of the children of Israel. That they are crying out that the Egyptians are enslaving them. The Eskar Isai Habris, and I've remembered that covenant. Because in the covenant between the parts, I said to Avram, what did he say? He said, Rashi only quotes part of it, but he said 400 years that the Jewish people will be serving another nation. But that nation, I will come to judge them. It's interesting why he's only bringing about the judgment of that nation. Why isn't he bringing about the redemption of the Jewish people? That's kind of funny, huh? Follow my question, Tzachi?
Yeah.
Like, that's the point here.
But he already brought it in the previous round.
I guess because Ma'avide Moisam. Because they are right, they are making trouble for the Jewish people, right? They're enslaving them. So in that, he's remembering the bris, right, on that aspect. Although it would seem that the point over here would be redemption.
But that's said in the previous pasuk. The previous pasuk already speaks about the brit, and he says that.
No, he just
and he said.
Uh-huh.
He starts with the redemption and then he goes with the Goya Shalom.
Okay, good, good, good. Very good. Very good. Yes.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah. Okay. Vigam. Okay. This is an addition. Very good. Okay. Shkoyach. Lochein. Therefore, Emer Lebanei Israel. In other words, don't worry what's going, what seems on the surface, right? But go and say to Bnei Israel, to the children of Israel. It's interesting that I had an issue yesterday of, that Moshe is coming. And what is it? How did he come to Pharaoh? On behalf of who? Bnei Israel? No, no. On behalf of the Ivrim, called the Hebrews. And here God calls them Bnei Israel. Why is he calling them the Hebrews and Hashem's calling them Bnei Israel? Now Rashi doesn't pick up on it. Right?
That's the way that Pharaoh sees them.
That's the way Paro sees them.
Now, Ebed
How?
It's like a derogatory term almost by the Egyptians.
what's the Hebrew mean in English?
The Hebrews.
What's that in English?
The Hebrews.
Okay, I thought it meant strangers or something like that.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Okay, therefore tell to the children of Israel, Ani Hashem, I am Hashem, V'tzeisi eschem, and I will take you out, Mitachas Sivleis Mitzrayim, under the oppression of the Egyptians, V'tzalti eschem, and I will save you. By the way, these words you should be familiar with. And I will save you. I will take you out. I will save you, eschem, Vaidasum from the servitude, from their servitude, V'galti eschem, and I will redeem you, B'zraya with an outstretched arm, Mishvatim Gedalim, and with great judgment. Rashi. By the way, where does it sound familiar? Anybody besides Safi? Huh? Sound familiar, these words? It's in the Haggadah. Right? These are the four languages of redemption. Right? We have three in this verse and the next verse. Right? The four languages of redemption, which is, therefore, we have 4 cups of wine. Let's see Rashi. But that's not the simple meaning. Okay. Therefore, Rashi says, based on the earlier oath that I've made to the patriarchs, Amar Lebanei Israel, Ani Hashem, to the children of Israel, I am Hashem, Ne'eman Haftach, so Haftachasi, I am trusted that I will keep my promise. And I shall take you up. Because so I have promised to Abraham by the covenant between the parts. And afterwards you will go out with great wealth as
That's the continuation of
yeah. That's the last thing that Hashem said. But how do you get that from Hitzesi Eschem will be Rechush Gadol? How does that in those words? Except I guess it's sort of mirroring, and that's the last thing of the promise to Abraham that will go out with a great wealth. So therefore, Rashi understands that going out means going out with great wealth.
But the pshat is that there's the word yetsu. They'll go up.
But no, but he's saying that's not the pshat. He's saying the pshat is Rechush Gadol. Well, that's what Rashi's saying.
And yetsu. Could have said
Achin Yetzu Rechush Gadol.
Thank you.
Because it's the same words, Yetzu and Hitzesi. So it's mirroring the order, right? And mirroring now the word, the actual word. Siblis Mitzrayim under the burden of Egypt. Ol Moshe Mitzrayim, the yoke of the burden of the Egyptians.
You have the word ol?
Huh?
You have ol Masa Mitzrayim? I have Torah.
Yeah, I guess a different. Yeah, I guess it's a different edition. This is the 4th language, and I will take them. Lilam, to me for a nation. Now, there's the first 3 is about going out. Now I'm taking them. They're going to be for me, for a nation. Vayisi lachem, and I will be for them, lelakim, for a God. V'yidaitem, and they will know, ki ani Hashem elokechem, that I am Hashem, your God. Hamaitzi eschem, that has taken you out mitach siblings mitzrayim, under the burden of the Egyptians. And then there's a fifth language, which is not part of the four languages that we use of redemption. And I will bring them to the land that I have raised my hand. Let's say, so he saw to give it to Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And I will give it to you. My Rasha, as an inheritance, Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Rashi. In 8, Nesasi is Yadi, and I have raised my hand. Harimoisiha li shava bikisi. I've lifted my hand to make an oath by my throne. It's interesting. How does Rashi get that from the simple words? I don't know. Okay. Verse number 9. Yes? Hidaber Moshe came, and Moshe spoke as such, El Bnei Israel, to the children of Israel. V'lo shamu, but they didn't listen. El Moshe, to Moshe, miketza ruach, because of shortness of breath. Ma'aveda kasha, from the harsh labor. What is shortness of breath? Rashi will say. V'lo shamu Moshe, they didn't listen to Moshe. V'lo kiblu tanchumim, they didn't accept the words of comfort that this is what's going to happen. Oy. I'm afraid that this is mirroring exactly what's going on in Israel today. God's bringing redemption, and we are giving back murderers. And why are we doing it? Because of shortness of breath, of wind, literally. Rashi, because of a shortness of wind. Anyone who is under stress is short of wind and breath. Is not able to breathe deeply. Right. Right. Continues Rashi. I've heard something close to this interpretation of Parsha Zu regarding the portion of the Torah. Rebbe Baruch Rebbe Eliezer, from Rebbe Baruch, the son of Rebbe Eliezer. Vehevi li raya mimikra zen, he brought me a proof from this verse. Bepama zoisid yechaz gal yodi be'esik vorasi v'yodu B. Key? Oh, okay. Can't see it. It's small. Shmi Hashem. This time I will let them know my hand and my might, and they will know that my name is Hashem. Lamadnu shakadosh baruch hu, mami is devarav. So this verse has taught us that Hashem confirms His word, afilu the paranias, even for the purpose of punishment. Maidia shishmai Hashem, He makes known that His name is Hashem. And all the more so when it comes to doing good. But I'm a little confused over here. Mikaitzer ruach. I don't understand how that has to do with the shortness of breath. I don't understand. Let's say, okay, but our sages, right? Rabbeinu in the Talmud, and Darsha Le'in Shamaila, they interpret this verse 3 and 4 referring to the above matter. And Hashem said, why did you do harm to the people? Hashem responded, woe be on those who are lost and not found. Right? In other words, as he will say, the patriarchs. that they've passed away. Yesh li liseinin al mitzvahs always. I have good reason to bemoan the death of the patriarchs. Many times I revealed myself to them in Kel Shake. They didn't ask what's my name. But you asked. You asked me what's my name. What should I say to the people?
But the Abbot were not sent to people, right?
Right.
It was just between them and Hashem.
Yeah, good question.
They didn't have to prove this to anyone, so they say. Moshe had to prove it, so.
Yeah, but what's the Kaitzer Ruach? How's this in
Almost seems like just the.
this? I don't follow. I think the Rebbe deals with this because why is in this verse it's about Moshe relating the message, God's message to the Jewish people, right? And they didn't listen because of short breath and harsh labor. So what's the harsh labor now that God is saying that our sages interpret from here that Moshe, right? This is referring, the Kaitzer Ruach is referring, the shortness of breath is referring to that God, that Moshe is saying, why have you done bad to the people? And God's responding, I pity that I lost, that the patriarchs passed away. I don't know. Need the Rebbe's understanding over here. Yeah, very difficult understanding over here. Okay, let's go. And I've also established covenant that I give to them the land of Canaan. And when Abraham requested to bury Sarah, right? He wanted to. Loy matzah kever, and he didn't find a gravesite. Until he purchased for an exorbitant price, right? Although the very land had been promised to him, he didn't question me. Right? He didn't question me. He had to put up with, Ephron Achiti and everything going on there, right? Likewise with Yitzchak. Love is he the wells that he had dug, they had made claims against him in the land of Canaan. He had difficulties there, and he didn't complain to me. And also Yaakov, right? The Torah says that he bought a plot of field upon which he pitched a tent in the land which he had already been promised to him. And yet the three patriarchs, they did not question my actions. But you say to me, why? You say to me, why did you harm the people? But the interpretation cited in the name of the sages does not rest well with the text here. Because of several reasons. First of all, it doesn't say, and they did not ask about my name Hashem. If you will say, in response to the verse, that it means Lo Haidiyam Shekach Shmai, therefore they did not inform the patriarchs at all that such is his name. Indeed, at the very outset, when Hashem revealed himself to Avram by the covenant of the parts, Nehemar does say, Ani Hashem, Asher mi Ur Kasdim. I am Hashem who took you out of Ur Kasdim. Furthermore, how does the sequence flow with that which follows? Vigam ani shamaiti, and that I have heard the wail of the children of Israel. Therefore say to the children of Israel, I am Hashem, that will take you from beneath the burdens of the Egyptians. Therefore I say, so he is kind of doing away with what the sages and how they interpret these verses, right? That it's speaking about how Hashem is comparing him, Moshe, to the patriarchs. He's saying, no, that's not what it means. He explains it like this: Dabar dabar all upon him, that the words are spoken in appropriate context. The first explanation is done. And let the homiletic interpretation be expounded, but the rabbis have been done. Shenemar v'haloi kol dvarei ka'esh neuma Hashem apati v'yitzis yisela, that the words are like fire, says Hashem, that the hammer shatters the rock, mischalet kam nitzutzos, and it goes into splinters, into many different sparks. Hey, he's saying when you take a hammer on an anvil and you take an iron rod that's been put in the fire and you hit it, makes a lot of sparks, right? So Rashi is saying that the interpretation of this verse has many sparks to it. There's the way the sages understand it, the way Rashi's understanding of the simple meaning. There's the homiletic interpretation, and so on and so forth. Anyway, we need to look into this further because this was a very difficult Rashi for me. And Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, but Daber el Pare, go and speak to Pharaoh. Wow. This. Mm-hmm. So verse number 9 is not. Is that Moshe related God's? This is already earlier. It's going in past tense, verse 9. Right? Why is it being? Well, yeah. Okay, we're going to leave that for now. So now God is saying in present tense, go and speak to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. He will send the Bnei Israel from his land. And Moshe now responded. He spoke to Hashem saying, right, this is the first time Moshe is saying something. Till this point, God was speaking to him, right? What does he say? Hey, Bnei Israel, lo yishamu elai. Behold, the Bnei Israel, they have not, lo yishamu elai, they haven't listened to me. If the Jewish people haven't listened to me, how is it possible that Pharaoh is going to listen to me? And not only that, I have blocked lips, right? I stutter. Interesting. And the Rebbe talks about this because he already in the previous parsha he wanted to go away, out of being the representative of God to Pharaoh for the Jewish people because of this, and now he's mentioning it again. God already told him, you're going to have Aaron that's going to go with you, and he will speak for you, right? Rashi. How is he going to say? This is one of the 10, what we call kal v'chomer, a fortiori arguments. In other words, if something applies in a more simple than a more complex, for sure it applies. In other words, in this instance, if the Jewish people aren't going to listen to me, and they're supposed to listen to me because they've already know about the promise that has been handed down from generation to generation, they're going to be redeemed, then why would Pharaoh listen to me? Right? That's Rashi continues. Aros of Hasaim, blocked lips. Ultim of Hasaim, my lips are blocked. V'chein kol loshen arla ani aimeshu huatim. Likewise, any instance of the word arla means blocked, right? Like arla means foreskin on by circumcision, right? It's blocking the holiness of the Jew. Likewise, it's an arla blocked. Arla says naim, my ears are blocked. Autumn meshua means blocked, I'm unable to hear. Arla lev, blocked heart, means autumn mehavin, meaning you're not able to understand because you've got a blockage in your heart. Say gamata ve'arol, you drink too and become clogged, blocked. Autumn shchir sichreis kaisa klala, become blocked up because of intoxication of the cup of curse. Arlis basar, that the foreskin is blocking. Arla because the male organ is blocked and covered by it. Arlis arlosai, and you will keep your arla, meaning also make a block covering that's forbidden of the tree of the fruit of the tree, right, which is called arla also. And therefore there's a barrier that you're not allowed to consume it. For shalashanim sheyelachem arelim, for 3 years it'll be arla for you. Meaning that it's blocked, covered, and barred from you eating from it. Okay, just showing the word and what it means. So how's it possible that Paro is going to listen to me? Right. Okay. 13. Midaber Hashem el Moshe. So now Hashem responds to Moshe. El Aaron and to Aaron. V'yitzavim, and he commanded them. El Bnei Israel, concerning the Bnei Israel. El Para, Melech Mitzrayim, and to Pharaoh, concerning Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Lahitziz Bnei Israel, Me'eretz Yisrael, to take the Israelites, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Rashi, this is the last Rashi for today. And Hashem spoke to Moshe and to Aaron. Since Moshe said, I have blocked lips, right? That's why Aaron now has been joined to the conversation. Said he should be a mouthpiece, an intermediary for him. Yitzavim is Bnei Israel, and he commanded them regarding the children of Israel. Concerning them, he commanded to lead them calmly, and to be patient with them. Now, Paro Melech Mitzrayim, regarding Paro of the king of Egypt, he commanded them concerning Pharaoh that they should accord honor to him with their words. This is the midrashic explanation. Pshutai, but the simple meaning, and why the simple meaning comes second, is a good question. Tzivam al divrei Yisrael. He commanded them regarding the matter of the Israelites. Regarding his mission to Pharaoh. And the content of the command is only stated in the following section. After the lineage of the tribes of Reuben, Shimon, and Levi, but since the Torah mentions Moshe and Aaron, we interrupt the topic over here of going to Pharaoh, right? It's interrupted, the Torah. With the section of the heads of the fathers' houses, right? The lineage. What does this come to teach us? How Moshe and Aaron were born, and who they trace their ancestry to. Interesting. Why that's important, I'm not exactly certain. Okay, Shemali, you had a question?
No, this one.
Huh?
I had a question earlier. You said it's not appropriate, so.
No, I said they're not appropriate until we finish.
Question is, why did God wait 200 years? That they were in slavery, or
He said it was going to be 400 years. It was only 210.
The first 200 was okay. They weren't they weren't slaves. They were just living.
No, it was
there.
86 years they were slaves. 210 years they were in Egypt. And why God did it is because they had to be ready and fitting to be recipients of the Torah, and therefore they had to go through a refinement that brings out a humility in the individual. Through humility, we become refined. So the difficulties of life are to bring a refinement, not a destruction.
How much was their humility anyways at that time? I mean, they weren't happy with Moses coming. They rejected Moses's coming and and speaking to.
Oh, that's why it was a
made-
process.
It made life worse for them.
Right. Well, that's Moshe that he's complaining on their behalf. Yeah.
And even when they were leaving, they left under duress, in a way.
Yeah.
So
That's all part of the
I don't
process.
See where they became more humble as a result of that. I can understand becoming more humble, hearing God and giving the Ten Commandments. That's
How they become more humble is because they
that's-
didn't, because, like after a difficult time that God throws your way, if you still remain committed, that means your humility refined you and allowed you to go through the difficult time. So you have, that's what it means. So that's where the refinement is, that they went through 86 years of harsh enslavement, and yet they still remain committed, to some degree, some level. They're committed, and that itself is a refinement. All right, folks, we'll see.